This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Would you be okay with the Dolphins drafting him? Another Pittsburgh quarterback mentored by Dan
I really would not. I'd rather you go get a receiver and a running back and a middle linebacker and get linemen and build this team up so you can do it instead of worrying.
I mean, it's unlikely. Yeah, it's unlikely.
But I will say this, Joe, it's intriguing because you could draft him to trade him. You know what I mean? And so that's also what you could end up doing.
Or if he's better than Tua, you just play him. I mean, it is kind of nice to have some competition.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You draft him and then you try to trade him because while you were trying to draft him, you had calls from 3 or 4 teams that wanted to move up at that moment. So now you know if we take him, we're going to be able to trade him.
Or you just have a nice training camp competition. There's nothing wrong with that. If you think this guy is a legitimate top 12 talent and he falls to 29, let's just go ahead.
You could, but I just had this conversation with Omar. You don't do that in the NFL. Doesn't happen.
Well, RG3
every time you do that,
classic example.
Every time you do that, you're doing it because you don't have a quarterback, and neither guy is a quarterback.
Well, we can't
normally in the NFL, you draft a guy, and you build around that guy. You don't create controversy.
We can't sit here and suggest that the Dolphins know on February 1st, 2022, that Tua Tagovailoa is their quarterback of the future. Unfortunately, they don't.
Maybe they do. You just don't. Maybe they're convinced that he can be the guy if you give him a line and you give him real coaching and a running game. You think he can't. I think he can. See, that's where you and I disagree on that one. That's the interesting part about this dynamic. As we've talked about this one before, you've made up your mind. He's not the guy. You know what I mean?
What if my opinion is based not just on what I see at practice? What if my opinion is based on conversations with people here at the Senior Bowl who are directors of pro personnel, general managers, scouts, and coaches?
Right.
And what if I told you that a lot of them are Tua doubters? Would you believe me? You would believe me, right?
Of course I would.
I don't lie. So it's not just Joe's opinion. Joe's opinion is based on the input from many experts.
I get it. And are those experts all right every time?
I don't know. We're going to find out. I mean, he's got 1 year to prove it. That's for sure.
That's the intriguing part of Tua, right?
Now at 29, so the Dolphins have the 29th pick. I just wanted to say to you, I'm looking at these offensive tackles. You got the Minnesota kid. He's 380 pounds. You got a converted tight end from Central Michigan who grew up in Austria or something. These guys, when you're picking 29, this is not like, a top 5 offensive lineman, even an Austin Jackson type offensive lineman. And these guys, who's a little bit of a developmental guy. These guys are more projects.
Yeah.
And Tua doesn't need a project at 29. Although, to be fair, the Dolphins didn't think Liam Eichenberg was a project. Orlando, they traded a 3rd-round pick to move up in the 2nd round to guarantee Liam Eichenberg.
Yep.
So let's hope that was the right decision.
Well, the wrong decision was the offensive line coach. They need a guy that can go in there, teach these guys, build up their confidence again. Joe, I think a lot of things that happened this season was they were so inept on offense that I think your initial running backs wore out and lost confidence in running behind that line. I think Tua wore out as the season wore on, taking a beating behind that line, dealing with the criticism. By the end of the year, his face was as serious as it got. He wasn't that playful, smiling guy that he normally is with you guys out there. The offensive line, I think those guys failed so much that they lost all their confidence.
Yeah, I'm going to write this down. I should do.
I don't believe that morally this team was anywhere where they needed to be to succeed. And I think they need a coaching staff that can build them up confidence-wise, that can build them up also intelligence, so they can go out there and have some success and build on it. I think that was a worn-out offense that knew they had no chance because of that coaching staff. I really believe that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people, including me, believe it or not, we like hope. And so you've given me an idea. I'm going to do top 5 reasons for some Tua hope, or hope in Tua. And, or, you know, people like lists. I like lists. It makes it easy to kind of formulate your thoughts in a really easy way to present it. So, yeah, you know, number 1 would be, hey, this guy gets away from Brian Flores. Maybe Brian Flores beat him up mentally. He didn't think that Brian trusted in him. So that would be certainly on the list.
How many times you go tell your kid you love him every day? Bunch of times, right? Right?
Well, you'd like to hope that they know, but yeah.
Right. I mean, I tell my daughter 100 times a day I love her.
Telling them is good. Showing them is probably...
And showing them, loving them, hugging them, whatever they want, right?
Well, wasn't drafting Jalen Waddle a sign of love? Wasn't that a, we're doing this for you, Tua?
No, keeping Jacoby Brissett starting and putting you on the sidelines when you can play is not love.
He was hurt, right?
And you know what you did
that
in the first
an injury
year,
situation.
You know what I mean? It's just he showed no love. You know what I mean? Any relationship has to be nurtured. There was no nurturing in that relationship because the pouting child did not get what he wanted because he didn't want that quarterback. So since he didn't get that quarterback, he wasn't going to play games with everybody else. That was the problem there. It's hard.
There's reasons to believe that the quarterback will be better. You talk about increased health, a different coaching staff, maybe the addition of a key offensive line free agent, another receiver. Yeah, there's reasons to believe that the Dolphins offense can be better. If you bring in a Mike McDaniel, who I would think is the leading candidate at this time, more so than Jim Harbaugh. I know eventually you get around to Jim Harbaugh. It's my educated opinion that Mike McDaniel is far more likely than Jim Harbaugh.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.